Hi everybody. In this video, we are going to start with Introduction to HTML. Now, what does HTML stand for? So, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. The importance of HTML can be understood from the fact that you can develop a website without CSS, without JavaScript, but not without HTML. Now, HTML has many versions, but the latest version of HTML which we are using is HTML5, which started in 2014, and still many new things are being added to it. Okay. Now, let's start with an HTML program. Let's do our first HTML program. So guys, what happens is when we do C language, when we do Java language, C and Java programs contain statements. That way, an HTML program will contain elements, HTML elements. So normally when we have an HTML program, we don't call it program, we call it document. We say HTML document. And whatever we write inside it, we don't call HTML statements, we call HTML elements. So have a look at our first HTML element, HTML document. Now, over here, starting from here to here is our first HTML document, or I will say HTML program, okay. Now, over here, this thing which you see over here, starting from here till here, I will say this is an HTML element. Similarly, this is an HTML element. See what all things are being highlighted. Okay. Similarly, this is an HTML element. So now what exactly is an HTML element is? So an HTML element basically contains two tags. The starting tag, also called opening tag, and the ending tag, also called closing tag. So have a look at this HTML element which stands for heading. Over here H1, H stands for heading. Now what is that one? I'll tell you very soon. Now when you are giving the heading element, you should start with the opening tag like this. So within the angular brackets, you will write H1, okay, and after that you will write whatever you want to write. So this is your own content, and after that you will close the element by again putting H1 in angular brackets, but this time you will give slash H1. I mean you will give slash before H1. So this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, and in between this is your content, okay. Similarly, this is the paragraph element, starting here, ending here. In between you can write as many lines you want. Now the heading in HTML can be given up to 6 levels. So this is heading 1, this is heading 2, and that way we can have till heading 6. The size of heading 1 will be the biggest and the size of heading 6 will be the smallest. We'll see all this in a program right now. Now what happens is that whenever you do any HTML program, the entire program comes inside the HTML tag. So it starts here, look here, and it ends here. Alright, this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. So everything is enclosed within these two tags. Now the entire HTML program is broadly divided into two different parts. The first part is the head part and the second part is the body part. The first is the head and the second is the body. Now what is the difference between the head and the body? So I'll tell you the difference. If you don't understand it right now, no problem, we'll do it very soon. I'll explain it to you very soon. See what happens is, whatever you write inside the body part from here to here, okay, whatever you write inside this body part from here till here, okay, that thing will get displayed on the web page, okay. Whereas whatever you write inside the head part, this thing will not get displayed on the web page. I will say that the head part, the head element contains metadata. I repeat, it contains metadata. So you'll say, what is metadata? So metadata over here means data about the web page, information about the web page. Now if you don't understand all this, no problem. Now let's not waste time and let's jump into our first HTML program. Now the question is, how do we do the program over here? So there are two ways, okay, one online and another offline. So if you want to do the program offline on your computer, okay, then you need the Atom editor. Alright, so what I can do is I can open the Atom editor. So when you open the Atom editor, it will look like this and you can do the programming over here. Now, throughout the entire course, we'll be using the Atom editor a lot of, we'll be using the Atom editor quite frequently. But there's one more way you can do the HTML programming, rather web development, and that is the online way. Just in case you don't have the Atom editor or you have a machine which does not have an Atom editor, then there is one more way in which you can do this. So, if you want, with me, you can do one thing. You can open your browser and you can go to a website www.codepen.io. Alright, and I hit the enter key. So this is a beautiful website, okay, which you can use for web development. I simply love it, okay. Alright, now over here you don't need to do any sign up and all, although it is written over here sign up login, but that's not required as of now. You can directly click on the start coding, okay. Alright, now when you click on start coding, just a second, sorry. Now when you click on start coding, a screen like this will come in front of you. So what is the beauty of all this? The beauty over here is that here you can give the HTML code, the CSS code here and the JavaScript code here, and you will see the output over here which will dynamically change as per what you type over here, okay. Now there are many views over here, okay, so alright, there are many views over here, so see, alright, this is one view, alright, this is another view, and this is the next one. So I prefer this view. Now currently I am not going to use JavaScript and CSS, so I'll make it slightly smaller, okay. Now this is the HTML code which I am going to type over here, okay. Now if you see, let's say I write something like, as we always do, hello, spelling wrong, hello, and let's say I write world, okay. Now when I write hello world over here, see, dynamically you will see the output over here. Now what happens is, in an HTML program you can write the text like this also, but not all browsers will interpret it correctly. So if you want the browser to interpret it correctly, you need to use the tags. So what I will do is, I will enclose this inside the h1 tag, okay. So I'll write h1, okay, I'll write h1 over here, and then I go to the end and again I write /h1, okay, and that's it. Now see how the output has changed over here. If you see carefully, the font has become bigger because now h1 stands for heading, okay. So basically I wrote one HTML element over here and you saw the corresponding output here. Now let me copy this, and let me create one more HTML element, that is h2, okay. So as I told you, you can have h1, h2 and so on, alright. And see, you got the output of h2 over here, the font is slightly smaller. Now that way, one more important HTML element is the paragraph tag, or the paragraph element, the p tag. So what I will do is, again I will copy paste over here, again I'll copy paste over here, and now I give the paragraph tag, okay, look. So this is the paragraph tag, okay. The output will change over here very soon, okay. So see, so this is the output of not now, just a minute. Okay, so now if I want to save my code, I'll have to sign up and then I'll have to log in. But right now, I don't want to save the code. I just want you to know this particular site, so I'm not logging in. Anyway, so this is the output of h1, this is the output of h2, and this is the output of the paragraph, the p tag, okay. Now what is the importance of this codepen.io? Why I showed you this particular site? Because many a times you may not have the Atom editor or no good editor on your machine. So if you don't have the editor on your machine, maybe you can use this particular site, or maybe you are working on some different machine, your friend's machine who does not have the editor. So in that case, you can go online and you can simply give the code over here and see the output. Okay. Anyway, now this was one way of doing the HTML programming. Now we'll see a more formal way of doing it, and that is using the Atom editor. Okay. So now what I do is I go to Atom. Alright. Now I have created a shortcut of Atom over here. You can also do the same thing. Now after you open the Atom editor, you will see something like this. Okay. Now what have I done over here is on my desktop, see this is my desktop, I have created a folder called web development, inside which I have created a folder called HTML, in which I have kept all the HTML files. So now how do I open all this in Atom? So I go to file, alright, and then I click on add project folder. So over here, see already this web development and this is there. If this is not already over here, maybe I could have gone to desktop, I could have gone to web development, and I select this HTML and I open this. So now when I open this, on the left hand side, you will see the directory structure. Okay. So basically this is the HTML folder. Inside which there is a folder called CSS. We'll talk about this later, CSS later. And apart from that, these are all the files, okay, which we are going to study very soon. Now, if I want to create a new file, over here, what I will do is I will click on HTML, okay, I'll right click on HTML and I'll do new file. Now over here, I can type the name of the file. So let's say I type something like test.html, alright, and I hit the enter key. Okay, now you will see that the same file got created over here, test.html. Alright, so I have created a new HTML file inside the folder HTML. Okay, now what is the beauty of Atom? Why use Atom over here? So I had told you last time that Atom is one of the best editors, especially if you want to do web development, HTML, CSS and so on. Now, the first good thing about Atom is that it gives you something called boilerplate code. I repeat, boilerplate code. Let me spell it, boilerplate. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this boilerplate code? So, let's understand this. Now, let's say you want to do a new HTML program. So, all you need to do over here is you will type HTML, okay, and hit the enter key. So now I'll hit the enter key on my keyboard and see. So this code which you see over here is called boilerplate. Boilerplate over here simply means some ready-made code. Okay. Now let me explain this to you a little. But before I explain this to you, I want you to pause the video and go through this a little quickly. Come on, do that. Okay. Now the very first statement over here is called Doctype HTML. If you are paying attention, you will realize that you did not see this Doctype HTML over here. So you can do the HTML program without that Doctype declaration, which you don't see over here, or you may write it over here. If you don't write this Doctype.html, then your program will be considered as of version number 4, HTML4. So this statement, Doctype HTML, it is basically a declaration which tells the browser that treat this code of HTML5. So now your program contains the syntax of HTML5. By the way, most of the things which work in HTML4 also work in HTML5. So even if you use HTML4, not a very big deal. Okay. Anyway, so this statement tells the browser that we are following HTML5. Now after that we have the HTML element starting here and C ending here. So as I told you, the entire program will be inside this HTML element. Okay. Now this thing which you see over here, lang equal to en and all this is called attributes. We'll talk about attributes very soon. By the way, in most of my programs, you will not see these attributes, the ones which I am deleting now. Okay, see these ones. Alright, So even if you don't give those attributes, it's okay. By the way, if you are writing lang equal to en, it simply means that you are going to use English language in your program. Okay. Now, as I told you, the entire HTML program is divided into two parts, the head and the body. So this is the head, alright, and this is the body. Okay. Now inside the head, again you will see many elements like meta, title, and so on. Okay. Now what this title element will contain, I'll tell you very soon, but let's talk about this meta a little. Again, not so important, okay? Even if you don't write this meta element, it's okay, okay? But many a times you'll see this, so let's understand what it is. So this meta element, okay, basically over here you will see many different attributes. I repeat again, this is called attribute. So over here you see something called char set equal to UTF-8. So UTF stands for Unicode Transformation Format. I repeat, Unicode Transformation Format. Okay. So there are many Unicode transformation format like UTF-8, UTF-16, UTF-32. So basically most of the web pages follow UTF-8 encoding format, and that is what you have mentioned over here. No need to go into the details, and once again, even if you ignore this, don't write this, it's okay. Now let's talk about things which are important. Okay, so now this is the title element. So let's say I write over here, okay, I write over here first, okay, program. Let's see what is going to happen. Okay, by the way, you see a blue dot over here, see over here. So it means that your program is not yet saved. To save the program, either you can click here, or on the keyboard you can do Command S or Control S if you are using Windows. Now this is the body element, okay. So over here, let's say I want to give the h1 tag. Now see the beauty of Atom, I will type only h1 and I'll hit the enter key. See, I'll hit the enter key, what happens? So when I hit the enter key, you saw that that element got completed by itself. Now I can type whatever I want over here. So I'll type, let's say, hello world. Okay. Now very soon I'm going to execute this, but before that I'll save this, and I want you to know one more thing over here. Now in my earlier lecture, if you remember, I told you that the power of Atom lies in its packages. Okay. So I had given you a list of packages, I had given you a list of plugins which you are supposed to install in Atom. So if you have installed those packages, you will see it over here. Now one of those packages is Atom Beautify. Okay. Now what is the purpose of this? So let's understand this. Now if you see this a little carefully, you will realize the code is not indented properly over here. Okay. If you see line number 8 carefully, you will realize that is h1 element. Okay. It should be over here. It should be over here. See over here. Alright. It should be inside the body, but it was over here. Okay. So now over here there is some problem with the indentation, okay. So now let me purposely keep it over here. So now what you can do is, if you want to make the indentation proper over here, just go to packages, go to this and click on Beautify. Now when I click on Beautify, also keep an eye over here on line number 8, see what is going to happen. Okay, so I click on Beautify. Now when I click on Beautify, see the entire code got indented and even lines were left in between. Okay, so see the head part got separated, alright, the body part got separated, and this h1 was pushed a little inside towards the right hand side. So now everything looks nice and beautiful with proper indentation. So this was because of this Atom Beautify. Okay, anyway, now I'll save this. Okay. Now how do I execute this? So now listen carefully. Now you have created this file test.html inside this folder, okay, which is on my desktop. So let me go to the desktop. Okay. So this is my desktop. Let me go over here. So this is the web development folder. Inside with this is HTML. All right. And inside this you will see this test.html. By the way, every HTML file will have the symbol of the web browser on it. So see, you see the Google Chrome symbol over here. This shows that it is an HTML file. Now what I do is I will either double click it, or I can do this way also, open with Google Chrome, or I can double click it. So this. So when I double click this, you will, let me just close this code pen. Okay, so when I double click this, you will see this particular page. Okay, now over here, look at this hello world. What do you think this is the output of? This is the output of H1. And see this first program, where did we write this first program? So this was the title part. So now, if you remember, some 5-10 minutes back, I had told you that the head section will store the metadata and the body section will store those things which are going to be displayed on the web page. So whatever you want to display over here, starting from here till here, okay, all these things will come inside the HTML body, okay, and the head section will contain information about the web page, okay. So one such information about the web page is its title, which we are giving over here, okay. All right, now basically let's try and understand how things work in the real world. I have told this to you in the first lecture, but once again let's just repeat it quickly. See, what happens is that when you type a particular URL over here, when you type a particular URL and hit the enter key, your client computer will contact the server. The server will send the client some HTML code, and that HTML code will look something like this, okay. Now what your web browser will do is, your web browser will receive this code, it will process this code, and depending on this code, it will generate some output. So one small simple thing which you should understand and which you should never forget is that whenever you see any web page, that web page is actually the output of the HTML code, okay. So this is the output and this is the corresponding HTML code. Okay, I hope you understand that. All right. Now, once you understand this much, what next? So now, all right. Now, what will happen is, because this is an introduction, okay, let's understand a few basic things which will help you, which will go a long way in you getting good in web development. See, what happens is that if you work in the world of programming, that many a times you will get stuck. And a good programmer is the one who knows how to get out of it, okay. A good programmer is the one who knows how to help himself. So now, as far as HTML, as far as web development is concerned, what is one way where you can help yourself, and that is by using the documentation, okay. So okay, so now let's say this is the H1 tag, and let's say you are not sure that how many headings are available in HTML. Right now I told you that you can give headings up to 6, H1 to H6, but let's say you forgot it, okay. So what you can do is, you can go to Google, you can type something like HTML headings, okay. And now over here you can use different types of documentations, but the best documentation over here is this MDN. By the way, this MDN stands for Mozilla Developer Network. This Mozilla is the same group who has developed a Firefox web browser, okay. So they have written good amount of documentation for HTML, CSS, and I find it pretty useful and it is pretty organized, okay. Don't go to websites like W3 schools and all. Things in W3 schools are very unorganized, okay. So use the Mozilla Developer Network. Anyway, I hit the enter key, okay. Now when I hit the enter key over here, look, you will see something like the developer.mozilla, and you will see this. So okay, so over here, see, I had just given HTML headings and MDN, and I got a reference of this page. So over here, see, it is clearly written the HTML elements represent 6 levels of section headings. H1 is the highest and H6 is the lowest, okay. And then there are several other things which are written over here, some of them pretty useful, which I'll let you know very soon. So basically, the whole point over here is to get out of a problem So when you want to get out of a problem, try to use the documentation. And one of the best documentations for HTML is MDN, okay, the Mozilla Developer Network, okay. Anyway, now before we proceed further, just one small simple thing, okay, not very important, but still you should know these things. See, what happens is, I spoke about this UTF, where U stands for what? U stands for Unicode, okay. Now what is Unicode? You must have studied this Unicode in Java, okay. Basically, just like ASCII character set, we have the Unicode character set, and the Unicode character set basically contains characters of almost all the languages of this world, okay. Now, why I spoke about this? Because very often in your website, you may have to use a foreign symbol, a character of some other language. So now we can go to this site. I will write Unicode Table.com, okay, where we'll find all the characters of Unicode. All right. So see, now over here we have a list of all the English characters of Unicode. You see a map over here. When you click on the map, you will get characters of that particular country. Let's not waste time in that. Now over here you have different emojis also. Let's say for example you want this something like a heart, okay. So I click on this heart symbols, okay. Now over here, as you see, these are the different characters. I'll call them characters, which you can even use in your programs. So let's say I want to use a heart like this. So this thing which you see over here is its Unicode, is its code, okay. I will say Unicode. Now if you want, I can copy this. Yeah, I'll copy this, okay, and I can even use it in my program. So over here, all right, I do paste. So all right, you just cannot copy paste any emoji from anywhere, okay. It should have the proper encoding. So if you want to use emojis in your website, a good idea is to copy them from here. So that was the reason of showing you this particular Unicode website, okay. Now if I execute this, all right, let me go back to that file, okay. So web development and HTML, all right, and now I'll just double click on this. So see, look at this title over here, and you can see that heart symbol over here, okay. I hope you remember that we had given the heart symbol in the title, okay. Now you must have realized that it is quite cumbersome to always switch from here and then locate this particular file and then open it in Chrome and then see its output, okay. It's quite cumbersome. We want a feature which was provided to us by that website codepen.io, okay. So it would be nice if I can see the output right here, the way it happens in Python or other languages. So as I told you, the power of Atom lies in its packages. So what you can do is you can install one more package over here, and that package is called Preview HTML. All right. And now see, what I'll do is I'll click on Enable Preview. Now when I click on Enable Preview, okay, you will see the output over here. Okay, so you have this hello world and the output over here. Okay, so that is one more way in which you can see the output of the HTML program. Okay, so till here we spoke about how basically you should start with an HTML program. Okay, how to use Atom, how to use CodePen, how to use some of the packages. Then we spoke about the boilerplate also. Okay.